Hey, it's Ryan Seacrest. Life comes at you fast, which is why it's important to find some time to relax. A little you time. Enter Chumba Casino. With no download required, you can jump on anytime, anywhere for the chance to redeem some serious prizes. So treat yourself with Chumba Casino and play over 100 online casino-style games, all for free. Go to ChumbaCasino.com to collect your free welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
You are about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Dali, 1-877-DOC-DALI. And, of course, my microphone wants to act up, so I apologize. This is a very interesting time, okay? I'm, not because I'm having tech issues. I seem to, on my own, have tech issues, and it just happens. But I'm looking at people who have now for 2 years have been complaining that they can't buy stocks. Right? NVIDIA, I should have gotten in on NVIDIA. I should have gotten in on Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk before the Ozempic craze. I should have gotten in. I have heard my friends and people and listeners just complain. And now all of a sudden it's, whoa, you mean I could buy in now? I could finally buy in. And so the stock market has, there's no way about it. It has plunged. Stock market has plunged the last few days. But from what I'm hearing, this has been the biggest blessing in disguise. One is it shows that the Trump tariffs are actually, it's not just, how, some presidents will say, well, I'm drawing the red line or, and it's just all talk. The fact that the stock markets, and I'm no economy expert, but the fact that the stock markets have dropped, it means these tariffs are real. It means Trump is not messing around. If you're charging us, we're going to charge you back. It's not the equal amount. We're charging less than we're being charged. But that means other countries are feeling it. As you see, other countries are already coming back to the, we're hearing at least 50 countries are trying to now negotiate with Trump to get the tariffs down. Again, the whole point of this is for us not to get screwed, for us to pay less, and for us to get more money in. So one is the stock market dropping shows, okay, wait a second, people are taking Trump seriously. Okay, they're not messing around. Number two is it's the opportunity for those of you who wanted to get in on NVIDIA. I understand NVIDIA stock split, so you could get shares for under $100. NVIDIA stock dropped down to the 80s. So for those of you that took advantage of that today, and we saw when the stock market dropped, it started to go up again because buyers are like, wait a second, fire sale. Eli Lilly's stock dropped. A lot of it, because remember, our stock market went up because of a few stocks that did really, really well. Tech stocks, some pharmaceutical stocks. But, solar stocks had not gone up that well. You would think that they would have gone up better during the Biden administration. But anyway, so those few stocks that everybody were really excited about, now they aren't bargain basement yet. We're being told the stock market, give it a little bit more time. The stock market may still drop a little bit more. But once announcements are made that countries are backing off with what they're charging America and Trump said, be patient, give it a year. But people already start to notice, wait a second, stuff is already happening now. The stock market's going to go back up. I don't like the stock market. I am not a big investor into stocks. Yes, I did get some NVIDIA. I did get some Eli Lilly. I did get some of these, even though I've been kind of telling people not to be jumping on the Ozempic and Mounjaro bandwagon, if you're not diabetic and if you don't have a long-term weight loss plan. So, yeah, I got some stocks. I'm not a big stock market investor because I just don't take risks. Maybe it's because I'm the type of doctor that likes to hedge my bets. That's why I didn't win in the poker tournament yesterday, because I'm like, look, I could spend 5 hours and lose, or I could have fun, do what I want to do, make jokes, get some good hands, and then leave, and then get back for the Crown tournament game. Or was it Final Four? Yeah, no, it was the Crown game last night. So I'm no stock expert, but a lot of people are asking, well, wait a second. So when do we buy? When do we buy? So talk to your financial advisor, because the long wait, people have waited for stocks to go down. Everybody said, well, we need to wait for the stocks to go back down. And where this happens, and I spoke to you about the psychology behind it, is there's always some bozo that you have that starts to brag that they bought Apple stock, I guess in the 80s or 90s. And they bought Microsoft early. And they bought Google early. And there's always somebody who said, I got in early. And you look at that guy and you go, I don't want to be your friend. Shut up. You're just reminding me that I was lame. And so people don't want to hear, well, they missed the boat. They missed the boat. They missed the crypto boat. They missed the boat. Well, what if this is the boat? What if the boat is coming back? And it's saying, all right, guys, we're going to give you another chance, right? The stock market is correcting, right? We're resetting. We're going to start to shift from IRS to ERS. We're going to try to, Trump's doing what he's doing. We'll probably see a better economy next year. But if you wanted stocks at a fire sale at a low, low price, you're getting them. Now, then the next question people have is, I was texted today, so do you think it's going to go lower? Do you think the stocks are going to go lower? Don't ask me for financial advice. Okay. I work in radio. We don't make money in radio. So obviously I do it because I love it. But yes, there's more lucrative things out there. So don't come to me for financial advice. But it all depends on what happens today, and it all depends on the news. What sucks about the stock market is it's so subjective. And it's so, I guess there was a rumor that the tariffs were on hold, and then the stock markets jump back. What are these rumors? These rumors, look at what happened with Tesla. There was a rumor that Elon Musk was going to leave Doge earlier than expected. We know that. Doge is supposed to end July 4th. They say he's going to leave in May, but the news made it sound like he was going to be leaving very shortly, like that day. Tesla stock skyrocketed because they're like, okay, he's coming back to work on Tesla. So the problem with the stock market, it is really dependent on people's whims, rumors. There's manipulation. Anybody can make up news now, and then there's fake news. So that's why I don't invest much into the stock market. Yeah, mutual funds are supposed to be overall safe because they tend to overall go up, and so I feel more comfortable with that. And I do have stocks. I do, but so for those of you that have been bitching and complaining that the stocks were too expensive, and now all of a sudden they're starting to get a lot lower, talk to your financial advisor if this is the time to buy. And experts are saying we're about ready to be able to make some huge wins on what we're about to buy. 1-877 Doc Daliah. Don't go away.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now to answer your questions for free. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell our listeners who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me join you to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now and find out how much your case is potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. If you think you deserve compensation, call now to find out how much you qualify for. 800-710-5100.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
The cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hotshot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hotshot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hotshot Secret, powered by science.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to totalwellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. totalwellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
All right. Well, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. The 1-877 Dr. Daliah, 1-877 DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Dr. Daliah and Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, as well as YouTube. Click like and subscribe. So a second child with measles has died in Texas. Apologize about the volume again. I tell you guys, see, you can tell it's a Monday in my studio. Man, I don't really have my act together. Sadly, a second child, though, has died. The exact cause of death is unknown at this time, according to the Department of Health and Human Services. And HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is going to go to the child's funeral on Sunday. Now, we have thus far have 2 children and 1 adult. We've had 2 children so far die and 1 adult from measles. These are the first reported deaths in connection with the disease, a disease that hasn't really had a lot of headlines in some time. We did have an outbreak that seemed to stem from some international visitors that came to Disneyland. And every now and then we do have some measles outbreaks in migrant shelters. But for there to be now 3 deaths, it's making people kind of nervous. I believe there have been close to 500 cases in Texas alone. And the cases, they say since January, they have been including 6 infants and toddlers at a daycare in Lubbock. And 2 of those children are among 56 who have been hospitalized with measles in the area since the disease began. They say 1 out of every 3,000 children infected with measles die from respiratory and neurological complications, according to the CDC. 1 in 20 children could get pneumonia, and pneumonia is the most common cause of death from measles in young children. So measles is still nothing to play around with. But we've kind of taken it for granted because we've been vaccinated, the majority of us. Yet now we're being told that the majority of cases are in those who are unvaccinated or vaccination status unknown. Now that's a big question mark. That's not as specific as we need. And I have been asking for this since day one. If you look at everybody who's got measles, number one is we need the exact number of who was vaccinated and what their lot number is. When you get a vaccine, the lot number is documented. And so do we see a trend in that lot or that brand vaccine in vaccinated individuals who got measles? Then the next subset is the unvaccinated, truly unvaccinated. They said, nope, never got the vaccine, never wanted it. Okay, that's one group. The vaccination status unknown needs to be in a separate group. Now, that vaccination status unknown could still be Americans. It doesn't all imply out of the country migrants or illegal immigrants or gotaways, or it doesn't necessarily imply that. There are some individuals who were adopted, some individuals who really don't have their records from the 1980s or the 1970s or the 1960s. And so there are some people that just truly don't know if they were vaccinated because their parents have passed. So they just don't know. Again, that's very easy to determine because I know people are like, oh my gosh, epidemiologically, this is a nightmare. Well, not entirely. If somebody walks in with measles, you could very easily do a test to see if they had immunity prior. It's called the IgG. There's the MMR, the measles, mumps, rubella titers, and you could look for IgG, which are antibodies that are made after 30 days after the initial exposure. So 30 days after the initial exposure, all the way to birth, or years or past, your IgG will remain positive. If your IgG is negative, and you are walking in with measles, then your IgM will be positive. Your IgM is positive for the first 30 days, and we could detect your IgM antibodies. So if somebody walks in but they have to go to the doctor. They can't be calling telemedicine because unfortunately people are trying to use telemedicine and we can't test you. But if you think you have measles, they do the blood test and they can immediately capture your blood that day and see, did you have prior antibodies or not? If people had IgG, then that means they had exposure or their measles got diagnosed over 30 days late. But if you're like, no, I just got sick yesterday, we could really use that data. It's not 100%, but boy, is it, it's very valuable. So I don't know if they're doing that. I don't know if some doctors are like, well, it looks like measles. Yeah, I could go ahead and run a test. If you run a test, I would really recommend you do the IgM and the IgG. Because we need to know how many of these people were vaccinated, how many of these people weren't vaccinated, so we could figure out how to prevent the next outbreak. And if we're finding that there are more people vaccinated getting this, well, then we could decide to protect ourselves better. We could do a booster. Maybe the MMR vaccine I got when I was a little kid isn't necessarily covering me. Maybe I need a booster shot, like with tetanus. You need a booster every 10 years. Maybe, we need a booster. Now, it's a live attenuated virus vaccine, so they take a weakened version that doesn't kill you or make you sick, and you get a immunity to it. We also do that with the chickenpox vaccine, where it's a live attenuated. So oftentimes we don't really use boosters. We don't necessarily need boosters for those. Once you finish your series, you're done. And it's a series of 2 shots. One shot is about 93% effective. Second shot is 97% effective. But you see, there's the numbers, 97% effective. So who are the 3% that still get measles despite getting 2 vaccines? It'd be nice to know. So I feel bad for the epidemiologists. It's a pain in the butt to try to figure out. I think now there's, according to Fox News, 628 total measles cases reported in at least 21 states. Not surprising. And I'm not saying this is solely based on migrants. We have individuals, from what we understand, the first child who died was an American, I believe, whose family did not want to vaccinate. But we have expected that as our border was open and millions of people flooded over the last few years, they were going to bring illnesses that we might not be protected against, and we might need to alter and rethink in terms of vaccinations. One such illness is tuberculosis. We don't vaccinate for tuberculosis here in America widespread. It's not a mandatory vaccine. Why? Because tuberculosis isn't that widespread. Plus, it's not, as effective as other vaccines. Yet there are other countries that do vaccinate. They vaccinate. I think Philippines, I think Mexico may, because tuberculosis is more widespread. So we may have individuals who might not have gotten the vaccine or might be bringing it with them. They, just because you're vaccinated doesn't mean you can't carry it. Look at what happened with COVID. Many of us were vaccinated and still carried and spread COVID. So if we get tuberculosis here, and, I understand 5 million to 10 million people, however many, came through, is still a small amount compared to our total population, but it's enough to bring on outbreaks. And we have had some tuberculosis scares over the last few years. So those are things we just need to be aware because we might need to protect ourselves. The reason why in America we don't necessarily recommend certain vaccines is because it's like, well, it's not endemic here. We're not necessarily exposed. Well, now things have changed. When Alejandro Mayorkas said 1 in 5 migrants have an infectious disease, whether it's hepatitis, tuberculosis, colitis, well, then why didn't you close the border? Years ago on Ellis Island, you couldn't come through if you were sick. Why? Because they didn't want to make Americans sick. They were so afraid of the plague. They were so afraid of Spanish flu. They were so afraid of things that if you came over, you had to be examined. And if you were sick, no. That's why they used the island. So if anybody was sick, it didn't affect the mainland. Now, I'm not saying we have to go back to Ellis Island days, but we have to do a much better job of describing who's sick and why we're sick so we could figure out how to protect ourselves. Now, the number of people dying from measles is very low compared to other things out there, but the fact that it can kill, all right, we just need to do our work. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. going to the funeral is very nice. I'm glad he's doing that. I'd like to know a little bit more about what happened with the second child. Everybody says that RFK Jr. has been going back and forth on his stance with vaccines. From what I understand, the common denominator in his messaging is let's ensure they're safe. And let's reevaluate the studies and ensure that there wasn't cherry picking and that parents are getting full disclosure. You know how we're doing precision medicine now, where people are getting their genes tested to see if they'll do well with a statin for cholesterol or a certain diabetic medication to know what works with their system? We need to do that with vaccines. There's some individuals where they get the flu vaccine, they still get flu. Others, the flu vaccine is perfect for them. Others, they may get a side effect. So I think for precision medicine, yeah, we do need to make sure we get all the data. 1-877-DOC-DALI. Hi guys, Dr. Daliah here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping. Addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdaliah.com. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show, 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So there's good stress and there's bad stress. When we work out and we do weight-bearing exercises, we do it to stress our bones, make sure they stay strong, rebuild. When we have stress, kind of as a defense mechanism, teaches us that this is something that we need to be aware, get our spidey sense, be more acute. But stress can take its toll and become bad stress. And we recognize Stress Awareness Month in April, and we want to raise consciousness about the causes and ways to reduce modern day bad stress. And a lot of us are feeling it. We are. So I'm so excited that Dr. Jada Jackson Hill, a renowned mental health counselor and leading stress management expert, is here. She is president of Total Life Counseling Dallas. She's a frequent contributor. She's been on our show before. You see her all the time nationally on regional media outlets. So we are really, really excited to welcome back Dr. Jada Jackson Hill. Hi, Dr. Jackson Hill. How are you?
I'm doing great, Dr. Daliah. Thanks for having me.
Okay, love it, love it. So, talk to us about stress and why it's so important to recognize when it's hurting you.
Well, you know this better than I do. Life can be messy and complicated. It can be overwhelming and disruptive. And in my practice, we help people focus on how to effectively deal with stress using practical tools and strategies because it's important to find ways to address life's challenges in a productive way.
Absolutely. Now, you've given lots of resources and tips. Talk to us about what can help us manage stress.
Yeah, and the key is management. It's managing the stress. And whether you're starting a new job, taking a test, or even flying, we could all use help managing that stress. And that's why I love Boron Stress Calm, a non-sedating stress relief option to calm occasional nervous tension, irritability, or fatigue due to everyday stress. So you can stay focused and relaxed without affecting your alertness. Now, it has absolutely no artificial sweeteners, flavors, colors, or preservatives, and it's available in melt-away tablets or pellets for anyone 12 and up, and it can easily be found at boronusa.com. And Dr. Daliah, this is one of my go-tos for stress management.
See, it's a lot safer than what a lot of people go to. They go to alcohol, they go to cigarettes, I go to food. I don't need to gain any more weight. And so, a healthy way to handle, and so that, people say, all right, Dr. Daliah, all right, we have to manage stress. But how do I do that? I mean, working out, yes, that's a biggie. There are healthy ways. Talk to us about the healthy ways to handle stress.
Yeah, and you just said it. You just said it, because one of the healthiest ways to handle stress is really simple, and it's exercise. And, I love working out at Planet Fitness. It has over 2,700 locations nationwide with best-in-class equipment and a wide variety of strength, cardio, and stretching space in a welcoming fitness community where literally everyone can get a stress-relieving workout. And so as we transition to spring, of course, we want to focus on both mental and physical health. And we can do that by joining an amazing club like Planet Fitness, experiencing all that the judgment-free zone has to offer. And we can sign up online or in club at planetfitness.com.
One thing I notice is a lot of us are in the same boat. Some of us are like, well, I don't have good workout clothes, or it's too hot outside, or we're all thinking the same thing. And it needs somebody like you, Dr. Jackson Hill, to kind of say, look, this is how we overcome. Yeah, it is going to get hot outside. The allergies are hitting us. There are time constraints. So, talk to us about how we could kind of stay cool when we feel stressed.
Well, again, stress is a part of life, but we can certainly do something about it because you probably know this, stress sweat smells worse than regular sweat. And Secret Clinical Dry Sticks and Sprays have a triple-acting formula that delivers 3 times the protection against stress sweat compared to, say, a regular antiperspirant. It's clinically proven. It's a 72-hour protection from stress, heat, and activity sweat. And the weightless formula dries quickly and leaves no residue on clothes. So listen, you don't have to worry about those telltale signs of stress. We are taken care of.
I love it. I love it. You have so many resources. Any other tips on how to handle stress?
Yeah, as a mental health counselor, it is so important for me to equip my clients with practical resources, and one of them just happens to be something that I wrote. My clients love my everyday stress toolbox with practical evidence-based tips to shift from fight, flight, freeze to calm, cool, and collected by developing emotional management skills that fit their stress needs. So they can find this one at jadajackson.com.
Awesome. Any in the last minute or so, any other information you'd like to share, and where can my listeners go?
Absolutely. And just remember, all of these items are on tipsontv.com. And this is really about stress awareness and managing our stress. And when we, kind of look at every item, we can say, you know what, I can put that in my pocket and use it when needed. And so it's so important for us to have something to go to.
Oh, well, you're great. Dr. Jada Jackson Hill, can't wait to have you back. And thank you so much for all you've done.
Thank you, Dr. Daliah. Appreciate it.
1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So other go-tos that I have is I like comedy. I like to laugh. When I laugh, it relieves stress. And so for me, I have some of my favorite comedic like videos. Now, with YouTube and all that, there's so much access to entertainment where you don't have to watch. Like one of my favorite all-time comedy sketches was Eddie Murphy's Delirious, right? I think it was called Delirious. He did Raw, but the first one was better. And I think it came out when I was in the 80s, when I was younger. And so there were certain skits from that still, even today, 40 plus years later, makes me laugh. Exercise is huge. Pets are a big stress reliever. It's tricky, though. When my cat got eaten by a coyote, that was it still is rough. You're always grieving and mourning. But my other pets, just seeing them make me happy. And, people will say, Daliah, sometimes the things that make you happy can also give you stress. And, you need to find a balance, but you also need to understand that stress and grieving and loss are not always damaging. They don't always have to be damaging. Like for example, we're watching the stock market tumble the last few days, although it started to pick back up today. But, and people are like, oh, man, we lost money. Well, sometimes, what's a loss to some is an opportunity for others. And so that's why we spoke about how a lot of people are like, well, wait a second. Okay, stocks are cheaper now, huh? Bitcoin dropped. Maybe I could finally get in. COVID was horrible. COVID was an absolute disaster. The way the public officials handled it, ridiculous. However, I always like to find the silver lining. Well, many of us learned, and I said this early on, a silver lining is we are building a system of how if we ever do have to lock down, we could still function. Okay, we know how to teach. We know how to do medicine. We develop telemedicine platforms for people to contact a doctor remotely. And believe it or not, there are going to be, when we look back in the history books, some things that grew out of the COVID cluster and debacle that actually became more positive. We learned a lot about natural immunity. And we learned that what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. We learned that that vaccines do help save lives, but they don't mandate, because when you mandate, it's a mess. And so we learned things. Whether politicians will learn something or make the same mistakes is a whole nother issue. But what you have to look for the good, and if there is something that sadly is affecting you, see if there's a positive reason. Is it God's way? Is it nature trying to tell you something? 1-877-DOC-DALI.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-910-7500. That's 800-910-7500. Call now to find out how much your case could be worth.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World for just $19.95. Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
We are back on Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Dali, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So I apologize. I haven't been able to take a lot of your questions and your calls because we've had so many, so much news. It's been a very, very interesting last few years. But every now and then I try to take them, and I also try to kind of lump a few of them in at the same time. And so one common question I've been getting from some listeners, and if I could kind of summarize it, is you think you have a mental health issue, but you don't know how to get it diagnosed, or you might not want to get it diagnosed. And you watch something on TV and you're like, well, maybe I need lorazepam. You're watching White Lotus going, well, I can't sleep, so maybe I need that. Or maybe I have ADHD, or maybe I have autism, or maybe. And so I guess the common thing I want to address is if you think you have an issue that needs to be addressed, how to address it. Now, I know some of you are listening to this going, well, okay, duh, you go to the doctor. Okay, next question. little difficult, more difficult than that. Okay, the average person doesn't have a doctor anymore. We've really screwed that up. Since Obamacare, we have really screwed that up. Obama promised you wouldn't lose your doctor. The average person doesn't have a doctor. And if they were able to hold on to dear life, their medical provider, now they can't get in for weeks. And if you don't have a medical provider, you aren't even getting a new appointment till September. That's unacceptable. And we've let this happen. Don't defund Obamacare. Oh, no, we need to double down on Obamacare. Like, our health system sucks. And we're going to be socialized in a hot minute if we don't figure this out. And I don't want socialized medicine. So we need to get our acts together. But while we're waiting for politicians to get their acts together, or for Obamacare to go away, which it won't do. They made that bill such that it's like you cut the red wire and the whole thing implodes. We're kind of stuck with that. And so the state of healthcare now is, unless you have a boatload of money and can pay for concierge type medicine, where that doctor is at your beck and call, God bless him for doing that. I could not give my cell phone out anymore. It was, the phone just kept ringing off the hook. But there are doctors out there where, you know what, it's worth the money. They'll do it. They'll sacrifice their sleep. They'll be there for you. That's great. But that costs money. So for the average person that can't spend the extra few $1,000s a year to have that VIP access, you're in a system now where you have to go to urgent care, have to go to the ER, use telemedicine, and just not get seen by a doctor. Now, we need to do better because there are many of you that have melanomas as we speak. You might be having cancer and no one's diagnosing it. You're getting everything taken care of online, and then all of a sudden somebody's going to say, why didn't you get this addressed 5 years ago or 10 years ago? Well, because of COVID. We don't go to the doctor anymore. We're on a telephone. Now, there was somebody who called in having a possible miscarriage, and this would be her third one. And I'm looking at her neck. Thank God this was a video call and not just a phone consult. And I'm like, your thyroid looks big. I bet you have a goiter. This could be why you're miscarrying. You might have low thyroid. You can't just do medicine over telephone. I am so grateful that people have access. The telemedicine companies are godsends because those individuals that don't have access to a doctor can at least talk to somebody. But somehow what was supposed to be a Band-Aid or something to help you temporarily till you get in with your doctor is now being used as, well, you're my doctor. Well, I'm not your doctor. I've never examined you. I've never seen you in a clinic. Well, I keep calling your company, so you're my doctor now. You could have cancer. You could be, getting ready to have a heart attack. This is concerning. So, as I said before, for some of you who are in this boat, while you're healthy, don't wait till, you know what, I need a doctor this week. If you're healthy, go and set up an appointment with the doctor now. Start establishing with the primary care. And I got to tell you, the newer doctors are hungry. They're trying to build their practice. So they might not have a multiple month wait. Also, take care of yourself. Eat right. Check your skin. Have, I don't mind if you use Google to learn about things, but have your partner do mole patrol and check for moles on your back. If you do have pain or things that don't seem right, get it checked out. Don't just blow it off because a doctor can't see you. Everybody thought that all of a sudden medical illness went away because of COVID and you can't go to a doctor. No, people are still getting heart attacks. People are still getting lung cancer. People are still getting melanomas. People are still at stroke risk. That happens. Now, another question that people are asking is, how do you know if you have mental illness? Now, there are some obvious signs of mental illness. If you hear voices, Daliah, go off the air. Okay, if I ever hear that, I know that's not real. Although it could be you guys screaming at the car radio right now. But, if I'm hearing voices, that would prompt me to go and get a medical exam. If you are seeing things like pink elephants. Now, a lot of you have said that while you're dehydrated and throwing up and vomiting and diarrhea, you see that black ghost-like thing. That's an interesting phenomenon where you get hallucinations when you're vomiting and you're low on salts and you're getting dehydrated. Your mind can play tricks on you. And so a lot of mental health or things that you would perceive as a mental health problem could be very biological, and we could correct it very quickly. So when we start to see delirium in an older person, the first thing we rule out is an infection, because in an infection, you could be randomly talking or randomly seeing things. So, but before you go, well, do I go to a mental health professional? Do I just get into a medical professional? Because they could rule out biologic and we all get psychological training as well. So that if we do think this is not organic or biological, but we think it's more psychological, we can at least identify that pretty early on. But what about for those of you going, the wife gets on my nerves. My husband gets on my nerves. I don't sometimes want to be around people. I can't stand work. Certain people in my family bug me. Well, is that mental illness? Or is that, yeah, there are people in my family that bug the hell out of me. I wanted to go to the air show this weekend in Las Vegas, Nevada. We have Aviation Nation. It's fantastic. We left the house at about 10:50 a.m. because we wanted to get there for the noon and 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. and then the Thunderbirds. So we get to the parking lot at single file lane, And it takes us about 45 minutes to get into the parking lot. Once you get into the parking lot, there looked like there was like a mile line of people. All of a sudden, you see people walking past you while you're standing in line. And I'm like, where are those people going? Where are they going that they're not going in line? So I decide to walk and walk and walk to the front of the line, and you see them form a second line. Apparently, somebody said the line was going out too far, so they're forming a second line. So now all these people waiting in line are now behind these other people who got to come 45 minutes later, another line. Now you're standing there. Now, people were cool, but it was all about 2 hours until you could finally get into the air show. If any of you felt like, you know what, I'm done. I'm not going to air shows for a while. I'm not seeing people. I don't blame you. That was a cluster. They didn't have enough people doing security. Not their fault. They got a lot going on. They're military. God bless our military. But when you have transient sort of, I don't want to be around people. That's okay. But if it starts to really affect your life, affect your marriage. I mean, wives, husbands, we get on each other's nerves. That happens. But if you notice that more days than not, you don't want to be around your spouse, get that looked at. Maybe it's because you don't like your spouse or you guys aren't compatible, or maybe it's because you have depression, anxiety. So, but the key is to get in with a professional that can see you and talk to you. 1-877 Doc Daliah.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Hey, it's Ryan Seacrest. Life comes at you fast, which is why it's important to find some time to relax. A little you time. Enter Chumba Casino. With no download required, you can jump on anytime, anywhere for the chance to redeem some serious prizes. So treat yourself with Chumba Casino and play over 100 online casino-style games, all for free. Go to ChumbaCasino.com to collect your free welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.